A few times I've sat down and started working on something, writing an essay, studying photography, stumbling through an unfamiliar language. Then I looked up and several hours had passed. What I felt in that moment wasn't tiredness. It was a quiet kind of satisfaction, not the satisfaction of having finished something, but something else, stiller, as if those hours were already their own answer, without needing to point anywhere else. I found out later that this state has a few popular names. The names don't matter. What matters is that it was the first time I discovered work doesn't have to be for something else. Before that, I only understood work in two ways. The first was survival. You work because you need money, food, a way to keep going. This logic is the most honest and the heaviest. The second was desire. You work because you want more, a better life, a higher position, a larger reach. This desire is sometimes your own. More often, it's been carefully engineered and dangled in front of you. Both of these share the same structure. Work is a means. The point is somewhere else. Now doesn't matter. Later does. Process doesn't matter. Results do. The thing you're doing doesn't matter. Only what it can be exchanged for does. This logic was so obvious to me that I never questioned it. No one taught it to me on a particular day. It was in the air. In every "what do you want to be when you grow up?" In every goal-setting spreadsheet. I breathed it in and ran on it for years, until those moments of looking up. For the first time I felt what it was like for work to not point outward at all, to be complete while it was still happening. The only comparison I could find for that feeling, waking up suddenly from a long stretch of autopilot. But I want to say something more complicated. There's a very common objection to this, and I think it's real. It can't be sidestepped. Easy for you to say, work becoming its own purpose is a luxury for people without financial pressure. Some of us have a mortgage. Don't talk to me about deep work. I can't argue against this. I haven't lived under genuine, crushing survival pressure. I have no standing to tell someone fighting to survive how they ought to approach their work. But I've noticed something that makes me think this isn't quite as simple as it seems. Some people, once the survival pressure genuinely lifts, still can't get there. The conditions changed, but the logic, work is only a means, didn't. They have room now, but the room gets filled with bigger goals, more ambition. The experience of being absorbed in the work itself never arrives, and some people in genuinely difficult circumstances still find their way into that state. Not because conditions are good, because they happen to be doing something they actually want to do, something they're not yet sure they can pull off, and then the state just comes, uninvited. These two kinds of people, side by side, point to something. What's blocking you might not be external conditions. It might be the logic itself. Work is only a means, which arrived earlier than any financial pressure, went deeper, and is much harder to see. Survival pressure is real, but sometimes it's just the most convenient reason not to face a harder question. That harder question is this: when was the last time you did something you weren't sure you could do? Not something you're good at, not something you can count on, not something that would make the numbers look better. Something still at your edge, where you didn't know yet if you were capable, where you'd lose track of time in the middle of it. If you can't remember, maybe the problem isn't that you lack focus, discipline, or effort. Maybe it's that you haven't stood at your own edge in a long time, and that edge is where the state actually happens.